The Sahara Desert, that vast and unforgiving landscape, has been completely sealed off by authorities. That's right, the entire desert has been mysteriously shut down after a shocking discovery. But why? Let's find out in this video. The Sahara Desert, spanning approximately 9 million square kilometers across North Africa, is often synonymous with extreme conditions and harsh landscapes. The terrain is made up of rocky plateaus, empty plains, and what appears to be an endless sea of sand dunes. During the day, temperatures can reach over 50 degrees Celsius (122 degrees Fahrenheit), making it one of the hottest places on Earth. However, at night, the temperature can drop below freezing, creating a significant difference within just one day. Rain is a rare occurrence in the Sahara, with some places receiving less than 25 millimeters, 1 inch, of rain per year. Due to this lack of precipitation, it is difficult for plants to survive, but the few that do are hardy types like cacti, acacia trees, and tough shrubs. These plants have adapted to the dry conditions with thick leaves or spines that prevent water from evaporating and deep roots that can reach groundwater. The animals that inhabit the Sahara are equally fascinating. The fennec fox, with its large ears that help regulate its body temperature, and the dromedary camel, which can go long periods without water, have evolved to thrive in this harsh environment. The camel, in particular, is well suited to desert life, storing fat in its hump to sustain itself during long journeys across the dunes. However, the Sahara wasn't always this barren. Studies of its geology and climate reveal that it has undergone significant changes over thousands of years. Between approximately 11,000 and 5,000 years ago, during the African humid period, changes in the Earth's orbit and axial tilt led to increased monsoon rains. These shifts affected the amount of solar radiation the planet received. As a result, the Sahara transformed into a green, habitable area filled with lakes, rivers, and vegetation. This green Sahara provided fertile ground for plants and animals, and early human societies thrived in this environment. Archaeological evidence from this time, such as the remains of large animals like hippos, crocodiles, and various fish species, suggests the presence of significant bodies of water. The improved climate allowed people to settle and grow in the region, and ancient tools, pottery, and rock art depicting animals and human activities give us insight into the lives of those early inhabitants. In places like Tassili en Nadja in Algeria, rock art shows people hunting, dancing, and herding animals, indicating a vibrant culture that existed about 5,000 years ago. However, around that time, the monsoon rains that had turned the Sahara into a lush landscape ceased, and the desert returned to its arid state. As the lakes and rivers dried up, many human groups were forced to migrate to more hospitable regions, though some resilient groups managed to adapt to the worsening conditions. One of the most intriguing stories of human adaptation in the Sahara is that of the Garamantian Empire. The Garamantes were an ancient people who lived in the southwestern Libyan desert and flourished between around 400 BCE and 400 CE. The Garamantes are often regarded as a resourceful and intelligent group who found ingenious ways to survive in an unforgiving environment. Their civilization was centered in the Fezzan region, now part of modern Libya. The extreme aridity, with little rainfall and scorching temperatures, defined this region. Despite these challenges, the Garamantes managed to establish a network of fortified towns and villages, perfect their agricultural techniques, and become a dominant force in the area. Their society was highly organized, with clear social hierarchies, complex governance, and extensive trade networks. One of the key factors behind the Garamantes' success was a combination of fortunate environmental conditions and technological innovation. The climate of the Sahara had shifted over time, becoming as harsh as it is today. However, during the African humid period, the Sahara was much wetter, allowing significant amounts of water to seep into underground aquifers. By the time the Garamantes emerged as a distinct civilization, the wetter period had ended, but the groundwater reserves remained. The Garamantes strategically settled in areas where they could access this groundwater, particularly under the Fezzan region, which was home to the Nubian sandstone aquifer system, one of the largest and oldest aquifers in the world. This aquifer, formed during the Sahara's wetter periods, provided a crucial source of water for drinking and farming. The Garamantes' success in utilizing these hidden water sources was not purely a matter of luck, they developed innovative methods to access and manage this water. They employed a traditional water collection system known as foggera, also spelled kanat. This system involved constructing gently sloping underground tunnels that allowed groundwater to flow naturally from the aquifer to the surface. This ingenious technology was first developed in Persia and adapted by the Garamantes to suit their needs and the conditions in which they lived. They built an extensive network of foggera tunnels, stretching over 750 kilometers, with vertical shafts at regular intervals. These shafts not only allowed for maintenance but also provided ventilation to the tunnels, ensuring their continued functionality. To construct a foggera system, the first step was to locate a reliable water source, such as an aquifer. A mother well would then be dug to reach the groundwater, and from this well, a main tunnel was constructed horizontally, with a slight slope to facilitate the natural flow of water. Vertical shafts were dug along the length of the tunnel at regular intervals to aid in construction and maintenance. Once the water was collected in the foggera tunnels, it was distributed to farms and settlements through a system of channels. This efficient water management system enabled the Garamantes to grow crops, raise livestock, and sustain their population in the harsh desert environment. They cultivated wheat, barley, dates, and a variety of fruits and vegetables, supporting a thriving urban life with towns and villages scattered across the Fezzan region. The Garamantes foggera system is a testament to their engineering prowess and deep understanding of sustainable water management. The gentle slope of the tunnels minimized water loss through evaporation and seepage, ensuring that the maximum amount of water reached its intended destination. Additionally, by using underground tunnels, the Garamantes protected their water supply from the scorching desert sun, preserving its quality. The Garamantes' ability to build and maintain such an extensive and complex water management system reflects their advanced knowledge of hydrology and engineering. It also demonstrates their foresight in planning for the future and managing their resources, which were vital for survival in the harsh Sahara Desert. The scale of the Garamantes foggera network is truly remarkable. This vast system of underground tunnels and vertical shafts, extending over 750 kilometers, allowed the Garamantes to irrigate their crops and sustain their population in the middle of the desert. The construction of these systems required careful planning and significant effort. The slope of the tunnels had to be meticulously calculated to ensure a smooth flow of water, and digging the vertical shafts, some of which reached depths of over 20 meters, was a labor-intensive process. These shafts served multiple purposes. They provided access for workers during construction, facilitated regular maintenance and repairs, and allowed air to circulate through the tunnels to keep them operational. The foggera systems were essential not only for aiding the Garamantes in farming but also for the growth of their cities. The steady flow of water enabled towns and villages to expand, with fortified settlements spread throughout the Fezzan region. Many of these settlements were strategically located near foggera systems to ensure a consistent water supply for farming and household needs. These systems were not merely technological innovations, they were integral to Garamantian society. The Garamantes thrived in one of the harshest environments on Earth because they mastered the control of groundwater. Their reliance on foggera systems underscores the importance of managing water sustainably without harming the environment. The Garamantes' ability to manage their groundwater resources contributed to their success, but this dependence on a finite resource exposed them to significant risks over time. Their reliance on groundwater became a double-edged sword as the Nubian sandstone aquifer, the underground water source that had sustained them, began to deplete. Several factors led to the decline in groundwater levels, with devastating consequences for Garamantian society. Initially, the available groundwater was a limited resource, accumulated over thousands of years of wetter climatic conditions. The extreme dryness of the Sahara meant that there was minimal recharge, so the water extracted was not being replenished. As groundwater was continuously used for irrigation and household purposes, the water table slowly declined. The Garamantes' increasing need for water, driven by population growth and agricultural expansion, further exacerbated the issue. While the foggera system was ingeniously designed to use water efficiently, it could not meet the ever-growing demands of society indefinitely. Each year, more water was extracted from the aquifer, accelerating its depletion. Environmental changes and prolonged droughts worsened the situation. Though the climatic changes were not as dramatic as those that turned the Sahara from a forest to a desert, they still had a significant impact. Long periods of dry weather reduced any potential for recharge, making groundwater even scarcer. As groundwater levels dropped, the Garamantian society faced increasing hardship. The once crucial fog era systems began to deteriorate. Wells dried up, and the water in the tunnels slowed to a trickle, leading to immediate and severe consequences for agriculture, the backbone of the Garamantian economy. Crop failures led to food shortages, and the overall economy began to falter. Once able to produce a surplus of agricultural products to support a thriving urban society, the Garamantes now struggled to feed their population. Livestock, which also relied heavily on water, suffered as well. The scarcity of water made it increasingly difficult for people to sustain themselves in Garamantian settlements. Living conditions worsened due to the lack of water for essential daily needs like drinking, cooking, and cleaning. The diminishing access to clean water likely led to worsening health conditions, further weakening the population. Over time, Garamantian settlements were abandoned, and their empire began to crumble as the groundwater supply continued to dwindle. The fog era systems that had once been the lifeblood of their society became increasingly unstable. People gradually left the once thriving towns and villages of the Fetsan region, seeking better water sources or more hospitable environments. Archaeological evidence supports this narrative of decline. Excavations in areas once inhabited by the Garamantes have revealed abandoned settlements, deteriorating living conditions, and a reduction in farming activities. Important communal structures, such as granaries and irrigation systems, were no longer in use. Many of the fog era tunnels, now dry and partially collapsed, stand as silent reminders of the challenges the Garamantes faced in their final years. Artifacts such as pottery, tools, and other remnants found at these sites offer further insight into the collapse of Garamantian society. It appears that the Garamantes were losing connections with neighboring regions, signaling the breakdown of the economic network that had once supported them. The population likely declined due to both migration and natural attrition caused by the increasingly harsh living conditions. The fall of the Garamantian Empire serves as a stark reminder of the vulnerability of societies that depend heavily on a single, finite resource. While the Garamantes were intelligent and adaptable, they could not solve the fundamental issue of sustaining their society as their most vital resource, water, was running out. The story of the Garamantes is more than an ancient cautionary tale, it resonates with contemporary challenges related to water management and environmental sustainability. A compelling modern parallel can be found in California, which has faced its own struggles with groundwater depletion. Agriculture, one of California's largest industries, relies heavily on groundwater, particularly during droughts. In recent decades, the state has experienced severe droughts, increasing its dependence on groundwater for both agriculture and urban areas. This over-reliance on groundwater has led to significant depletion, similar to what the Garamantes experienced. In California's Central Valley, one of the most productive agricultural regions in the world, the effects of groundwater loss are evident. Wells have run dry, land has subsided, and some communities have faced severe water shortages. California has taken steps to address these issues, such as implementing the Sustainable Groundwater Management Act, SGMA, which aims to improve regulations and oversight for groundwater use. However, the challenges remain substantial. The parallels between the Garamantes and modern California extend beyond groundwater depletion. Both cases highlight the broader social and economic impacts of water scarcity. In California, water shortages have led to fallow fields, financial losses for farmers, and increasing tensions over water rights. Urban areas have imposed water restrictions, and there is a growing emphasis on more sustainable water management practices, such as increased use of recycled water and investments in water-efficient technologies. The Garamantes experience underscores the importance of monitoring and controlling groundwater extraction to avoid overuse and ensure long-term water availability. Ensuring that water use does not exceed the natural recharge rate is crucial. Diversifying water sources and investing in technologies that enhance water efficiency are also key strategies for reducing the risks of groundwater depletion. Water, deserts, and the rise and fall of civilizations are recurring themes in the Bible, and they connect deeply to the story of the Garamantian Empire. In the Bible, water symbolizes life and God's provision, especially for people living in the arid regions of the Middle East and North Africa. Water represents life, wealth, and divine blessing, a theme echoed in the Garamantes' existence in the Sahara, where they thrived by ingeniously utilizing groundwater. In the Old Testament, water is often depicted as a gift from God that sustains life. For instance, Genesis 2 verse 10 describes the river that flows out of Eden to water the garden, symbolizing God's provision of nourishment and life. Similarly, the Garamantes relied on the Nubian sandstone aquifer, an ancient water source filled during a wetter climate, which can be viewed as a hidden blessing that sustained their civilization for centuries. The biblical story of the Israelites wandering in the desert after leaving Egypt, Exodus 15-17, provides a clear parallel. Like the Garamantes, the Israelites faced significant challenges in securing enough water. The miraculous provision of water from a rock at Horeb, Exodus 17 verse 6, highlights the crucial role of water as a divine gift and the human dependence on it. In the Bible, deserts are often portrayed as places of testing, transformation, and encounters with God. This connection offers further insight into the history of the Garamantes and their struggles to sustain their society in a harsh environment, the harsh environment of the Sahara Desert, where the Garamantes lived and thrived, tested their toughness, creativity, and ability to adapt. Similarly, the Israelites underwent significant changes during their 40 years in the wilderness, as described in Numbers 14:33-34. In the desert, they faced numerous challenges, such as the lack of food and water, forcing them to rely on God to provide and guide them. The story of the Garamantes parallels other tales of resilient people who overcame environmental hardships through ingenuity and hard work. Elijah's story in 1 Kings 19 also highlights the desert as a place where God's presence and provision were evident, with an angel providing Elijah with food and water when he fled into the wilderness. The biblical theme of God providing for people in the desert is akin to the Garamantes' discovery and use of underground water sources, which can be interpreted as a divine provision for their society. Throughout the Bible, the rise and fall of civilizations are often attributed to their relationship with God and adherence to His commandments. Egypt, Babylon, and Israel's own history reflect this recurring theme. The Book of Daniel illustrates the rise and fall of empires, emphasizing that these shifts occur under God's sovereign control. Daniel 2 verse 21 states, "He changes times and seasons, He takes down kings and sets others up, He gives knowledge to the wise and wisdom to those who have understanding." The Garamantian Empire's rise, bolstered by smart water management, and its eventual decline, caused by water depletion, can be viewed through a biblical lens as evidence of God's control over the fate of nations. In 1 Kings 10, the reign of King Solomon demonstrates how sound judgment and wise resource management can lead to prosperity. Solomon was seen as blessed by God, and Israel flourished under his leadership. Similarly, the Garamantes thrived in the Sahara due to their engineering skills and sustainable use of groundwater. However, just as Israel faltered when it mismanaged resources and disobeyed God's laws, the Garamantes also fell when they depleted their critical water sources too rapidly. The lessons from the Bible resonate with modern societies grappling with similar issues, such as water shortages and environmental conservation. Viewed through a biblical perspective, the Garamantes story emphasizes the importance of managing resources wisely, trusting in God's provision, and recognizing the consequences of unsustainable practices. For example, today's challenges, like the California water crisis, highlight the need for sustainable water management that balances human needs with environmental stewardship. Jeremiah 2 verse 13 reinforces this point, where the Lord says, "My people have committed two sins, they have forsaken me, the spring of living water, and have dug their own cisterns, broken cisterns that cannot hold water." This verse underscores the futility of relying solely on human creativity without seeking God's guidance and wisdom. If you enjoyed this video, please like, share, and subscribe to our channel for more content like this. And if you have any theories about what might be happening in the Sahara, feel free to share them.